Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I think I'm on. Is it blue lit up? It means it's on, right? Yeah, good morning, everyone. Appreciate everybody being at our February the 28th, 2023 Madison County Fiscal Court meeting. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs?
Here.
Master Lockmiller?
Here.
Master Hughes?
Here.
Master Buckin?
Present.
Judge Taylor?
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite my friend Virgil Gardner up to lead us in a word of prayer. Brother Virgil, appreciate you being here.
Appreciate the invitation.
Let us go to the Lord in prayer. Dear God, we come this morning with thanksgiving, first of all, for waking us up this morning and allowing us to see another blessed day. God, we pray for Judge Reagan and his magistrates. We pray for our city, our country, our leaders, our soldiers, those that take care of us. Lord, we pray this morning for the homeless, the lost, the sick, those in nursing homes, hospitals, and behind jail bars. God, we need you today. More than silver or gold, we need you to lead, guide, and direct us in the way that we should go. God, that we'll follow your steps. If you order our steps, then God, we'll know which way to go. God, we realize that with you all things are possible, but we also realize without you we'll fail. So God, today, this morning, for this meeting, we pray that you come and because in the word it says do things decent and in order, and we pray that things will be done in order. God, we pray, God, that you bless our city, bless our leaders, bless the leaders of our country, city, state. God, we ask that you bless those that are standing in need, the sinner, man, woman, boy, girl. God, because we're living in trying times. God, so many people are hurting and so many people need help. And lead, guide, and direct us to help somebody that's worse off than we are. God, and we'll be thankful, God, to give you the victory, because when you suffered, bled, and died and rose on that third and appointed day, God, we got the victory, and that victory is in Jesus Christ. And we'll give you all the praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name. And all of God's people said amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Virgil.
Thank you, sir.
Tom, if you will, lead us in pledge.
Stand clear. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated.
Thanks, Tom. Members of the court, y'all had a chance to look over our previous fiscal court meeting minutes. That was a meeting we had on February the 14th. I need a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes? Yes. Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, our treasurer's report. Good morning, Glenna.
Good morning. In your Dropbox, you'll find the Treasurer's Report, the financial statement through January 31st, 2023. Our total fund balance as of January 31st, 2023 is $33,760,569.15. Our general fund revenues as of January 31st, 2023 are at 75.7%. Our expenditures are at 30.2%. Our road fund revenues are at 66.2%. Our expenditures are at 54.2%. Our jail fund revenues are at 75.9%. Our expenditures are at 56.2%. The LGEA fund, our revenues are at 53.3%. Our expenditures are at 24.5%. Our CSEP fund, our revenues are at 22%, and our expenditures are at 21%. Our 911 revenues are at 52.7%, and our expenditures are at 47.5%. The health fund revenues are at 52.5%, and our expenditures are at 57.6%. And our clerk fund revenues are at 38.5%, and our expenditures are at 10%. Does anybody have any questions about the treasurer's report that was in your box or the claims?
Where should we be on revenues right now at this point? Do you know what percentage that should be, Glenn?
Should be around 58%.
58
If it's one of the revenues that comes in monthly.
monthly?
The quarterlies are probably just going to be at 50% because the third quarter may not have come in
So
yet.
911 projections, we're good, like as far as our revenues go.
Yes, actually, one of our supports haven't come in for the second quarter, and I actually emailed Wendy about this morning to check on it.
Okay, good.
So,
Good. Thank you. Any comments from court members?
I have just one question. In the claims, there was a charge in there for $7,137, and it was for an 8-handle disaster pouch. I have no idea what that is.
body bags.
There was a separate claim for body bags.
I actually asked Melanie about that one when we were going through them. Let me look. What page is that on?
It's on page 4, I think is where it's at.
Okay, see, the body bags for corner is just $50.64, but the large amount is an 8-handle disaster patch, which is a type of body bag. Because normally we order for thousands of dollars worth of body bags at one time,
Where are those stored at?
at the coroner's office.
Coroner's office.
Coroner's office.
That comes out of the coroner's line item.
Okay, that's cool. I just hadn't seen that one before. I'm just curious.
Well,
what that
you don't
was.
see corn.
No, and actually, I apologize.
And he'll buy it. I mean, sometimes he might have enough for,
I apologize. Normally, those are out of the corner, but these are actually being bought out of CSEP.
but CSEP are buying them. That's an approved
Yes,
expenditure.
yes. It's probably a specialized type of body bag for a disaster.
Let's hope we don't have to use that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you, Glenn.
You're
Appreciate it. Before we start with the first order of business today, I do want to recognize a special group that is not with us here, but they are actually with us over at our fiscal courtroom. We've got, how many we have, 4-Hers do we have this morning? 25, probably? 25 with their parents. There's probably close to 40 individuals, 4-Hers that are watching us right now in our fiscal courtroom, because I was afraid that they wouldn't all fit over here. And so we're actually hosting a group of 4-Hers today and going to teach them a little bit about county government. I think we're even going to maybe take them for a little tour of the jail. I think some of them were, I hope they're not excited, but they seem to be excited about going to see the jail. But anyway, we appreciate them and glad they're here with us today over at our fiscal courtroom. Today on first order of business is a proclamation to recognize children in our community. And I have Phyllis, and I think I'm going to take a play out of Mayor Blythe's playbook. I think he normally comes down here and reads the proclamations, doesn't he? And so I'll come down here and present and read this proclamation to everyone. Whereas Madison County values every child and family, and whereas adults need to protect and care for children, and whereas organizations, schools, and service agencies should promote public awareness of keeping children drug and alcohol free, and whereas the type of environment at home, at school, at child care, and in the community should promote healthy development and appropriate learning opportunities for children. And whereas we understand that children are important to our county's future. And whereas Emerson Ratcliffe was selected as this year's winner of the Billboard contest, and March 9th of 2023 will be declared as Emerson Ratcliffe Day in Madison County, Kentucky. Now therefore, I, Reagan Taylor, Madison County Judge Executive in the Madison County Fiscal Court, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2023 as Be a Children's Champion Month, and encourage all citizens to support the Children's Champions of Madison County.
Thank you. Well,
Huh? You want to speak first, or you want to do a picture first?
whatever you want to do.
Well, you run the show, so I just take orders from you.
Well, let's get the picture.
Let's get the picture. All right, come on. Members of the court.
Thank you, Judge. I can always depend on him to be supportive. But the big thing about Children's Champions Month, thank goodness, I'm so thankful that I'm able to be here today and continue to be here. But it's a program in Madison County to encourage adults to help all children to be successful. And once a year, we stress this for all of our adults and more in the community to really know what's going on with children and their activities and with the parents and so forth. But the children are very much involved this month. And this is the billboard winner, Every Child Deserves a Champion. And that's by Emerson Ratcliffe. She is a first grader at Glen Marshall. And that says it all. Along with the proclamation, this says it all about what we should be doing as adults. There's so many things that are going on in our world today that we want to keep out of Madison County. And so I'm so grateful to have all of you here to then spread the word that we should take care of our children and keep them safe. Several of our activities that are going along with Children's Champion Month start actually on March the 2nd at the library with the Letting Loose with Dr. Seuss. But then there are other activities, and I think this has been distributed to those of you that are here as well as Fiscal Court. And our big event is the Kids Mall Madness, which is back now. We had that before the COVID, and so all of our, many of our agencies, the Madison County Health Department, the library, both of the parks departments, the Madison County Sheriff's Department, the fire station and the fire truck will be there, and also the state police will be there. So emergency services will be there as well. But all through the mall there will be activities for the children, and so we want to spread the word about that as well. But thank all of you very much for what you do for children, and spread the word, and let's keep every child safe and let them have a successful time in our county. Thank you so much. And if it gets too stressful, there's a little ball up there that's got the exact words. Every child deserves a champion. And Emmy, a young lady, will be at Kids Mall Madness passing those out.
That's good. I thought this was Mayor Blythe. I didn't know this was for me, so I stuck it in his cup up there.
He'll get one later.
All right, he'll get one later. That's good. Thank you so much, Phyllis. I really appreciate what you mean to this community and what all you do for this community. Next is first reading of ordinance 2023-01. This is a road department budget amendment. Glenna?
Good morning. An ordinance relating to the budget amendment of the Madison County Road Department budget. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the administration of the county budget, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has realized unbudgeted receipts, and whereas the Madison County Treasurer has reviewed the budget to ensure sound financial practices. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, the Road Department budget be amended by $124,260. This ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
Thank you, Glenna. You've heard ordinance 2023-01. I need a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We love unbudgeted receipts, don't we?
Absolutely. Yes, we do. Any comments, questions? This is the first reading. Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, thanks, Glenn, I appreciate it. Next, Resolution 2023-18, this is Madison County Public Library Board appointment. Actually, before I go into this resolution, I think I need to make a statement. So for this ordinance, first reading of ordinance 2023-01, for any citizen that would like to make public comment, please feel free to email the comment to comments@madisoncountyky.us. A copy of this ordinance will be available on our website at www.madisoncountyky.us under the Transparency tab. And also, if you don't want to make comment, you can come to the second reading, which would be a public hearing, which will be at our next fiscal court meeting. Resolution 2023-18, A resolution approving Virgil Gardner to the Madison County Public Library Board, whereas Virgil Gardner was submitted to the Madison County Fiscal Court as an individual qualified to serve on the Madison County Public Library Board in accordance with KRS 173.490. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court confirms Virgil Gardner for the position of Madison County Public Library Board member, and whereas the term will expire January 1st, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the Judge Executive and/or his designee to execute same on behalf of the county.
Motion approved resolution 2023-18, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Virgil, with you being here today, I'd say nobody's going to talk bad about you. So I think you're in good shape, buddy. Appreciate your willingness to serve. Yep. Call the roll.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, Resolution 2023-19. This is East Bill Eads Road Bridge Replacement Bid Award. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. Resolution 2023-19, a resolution for Madison County Fiscal Court to approve a bid award for East Bill Eads Road Bridge replacement. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is required to approve of all bids for projects in accordance with the Administrative Code, and whereas the bids were needed for a bridge replacement on East Bill Eads Road in Richmond, Kentucky, and whereas the bid notice was properly posted and all bids have been opened and reviewed, and whereas the Madison County Road Department reviewed one bid and recommends awarding the bid for the bridge replacement to Van Husco Precast in the amount of $283,981.99. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the Judge Executive and/or his designee to execute same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Scott. You've heard Resolution 2023-19. Do I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
You only got one bid on that project?
Yes, sir. One bid.
Is that normal? I mean,
In the past, we've had up to a couple bids, but yeah, I mean, it's typical with we write a pretty detailed bid packet of what we're looking for and what we expect, and a lot of companies don't really have what we want or the method that we're using. So it is not uncommon just to get one bid.
that seem reasonable to you?
I thought it was very reasonable.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
So, Scott, there's a couple of things in here that I would like to see cleaned up a little bit. I had some questions about it last night. On their first page of the contract that they submitted to you,
Okay.
it states in one of their paragraphs that the price does not include loading, placement, or any other installation related items. And by your specifications that you put out, it clearly states in there that the bid should include collection, hardware, joint wrap, mastic installations. So I'm assuming that you're wanting them to do the installation of the bridge. The county's not going to be doing that, correct?
No, that's normal language. I also brought a couple copies of the Barker Lane that they done and also the Bogey Mill. That same language is on all their proposals. To supersede that statement, if you'll look under Lot 1, installation, they charge a fee of $20,946 in the top block. You see that? It'd be
Yes.
right above the shipping.
Yes.
And then if you go to your second page, if you'll go to the note section at the bottom in the square block, it says installation proposal includes crane with operators and support trucks and install crew.
Well, that part of it makes perfect sense, but in the same thing on the second page of that, why did they go to the trouble to say that the buyer will be allowed up to 2 hours of free time per truck for unloading? That assumes that you're going to be doing the unloading, which we're not going to be doing that, and they want to charge another $100 per hour for unloading time in excess of 2 hours.
They're covering themselves in case they are delivering to someone that chooses to unload it themselves, and they're not going to sit there for free, and that's why they're charging. But I think we're covered where we have installation built in, and also in the note box where they are providing the installation and the unloading, and so we will not be involved in that process. The only thing we'll be doing is fixing the approaches on both ends and putting the gravel on the pads to set that actual bridge on.
Could we at least get some initials on them from their contract so that we know that we're not going to, we can say anything we want to up here in court, but the fact of the matter is we've got a contract from them that states something different.
One thing I've done, Tom, here is I see what you're saying there on the first page of price. It says price does not include. What I did was I marked out not and initialed it.
All right.
So it says now price does include unloading.
Okay.
And then on the other side, that same paragraph you're talking about, I've marked out do not and put does. So
Okay.
the above price does include state and local tax. I've initialed it. And so,
All right, that
I
covers.
know in my real estate days of contracts and stuff, that as long as both parties initial and recognize it, that you can make some changes to a contract. I'll confirm that with our counselor down there to make sure. But it does say it in both ways. We just won't say one way. So.
Yeah, that's cool, and I understand what they're going to do. I just think that if they're going to send us a contract, that it should be pretty clear on what their intentions are.
It doesn't need to say both things. Yeah.
Well, if someone would like to get me what you would like initialed or signed, I'll be glad to send it to the company and let them take it to their legal and
Show them what
Go
you've
from
got,
there.
Judge, that's fine, because that does.
Yeah, I
that does
think
take care
we
of
can work it out, Scott. Yeah,
All right.
I appreciate it.
It's
Yeah,
not
I think-
complex, it's just double.
I think it'll be
It says
good.
one thing in one place, something else in another place.
Yep, I think it'll be good. Any other questions or comments? So we're going to make a motion approving Resolution 2023-19 with a couple of those little minor word changes in there to make it be more consistent. Is that fair? Everybody good? All right. Sounds good. Then call the roll, please.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it, Scott. Appreciate your work on this. I know that this is a tough bridge. That's a pretty expensive one. And so appreciate all your work, too, with your transportation cabinet and getting in a couple of different funding opportunities there to help us pay for it. So good work. Next, Resolution 2023-20, it's Madison County Detention Center prisoner housing contract with Casey County. Good morning, buddy.
Morning, sir.
You doing all right?
Yes, sir, doing well.
Good.
Resolution 2320, a resolution approving a contract between Madison County Fiscal Court and Casey County Fiscal Court to house adult Madison County prisoners at Casey County Regional Jail in Casey County, Kentucky. Whereas during necessary times, the Madison County Fiscal Court requires the use of detention centers to provide temporary housing to adult Madison County prisoners, and whereas Jailer Steve Tussey wishes to enter into a contract with Casey County Fiscal Court at a rate of $35.34 per day for Madison County prisoners housed at Casey County Regional Jail, and whereas this agreement shall become effective upon signatures of all parties, whereas this agreement may be terminated by either party upon written notice to either party. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Madison County Fiscal Court does hereby enter into a contract and authorize the judge or county judge executive and/or his designee to execute the same on the behalf of the county.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all heard Resolution 2023-20. Do I have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-20.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have one question. Go ahead, Steve, so you're getting ready to ask something.
Yeah. Obviously, I see what this does, and I see it's an agreement that is very loose in the sense that it can be canceled fairly easy. How does this compare price-wise with what we do in Knott County?
Knott County, I don't know specifically Knott County, but
pretty
very
Pretty
similar.
consistent?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
So
This is the state rate,
so,
34,
okay.
30,
so the reason
35,
that, the reason it's happening, because we've had a contract with Casey County for many, many years, and it was $28.
And they won't change it.
And so they have partnered, I think, with some neighboring counties down there, and I think some neighboring counties have found out that we were only paying $28 And it could have been a little bit short-sighted on somebody's part, right, that just had forgotten because the agreement had been there for so long. And so I talked to Judge Dial from down in Casey County, and be consistent and fair to their neighboring counties down there, they had to charge us what they're charging everybody else. And so it's just an increase. It's inflation, right? It's just like
So
anything else.
it's a state rate.
That's a
basically.
state recognized rate, yes, sir.
That is a state rate now, but counties can charge whatever, you know.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So,
Tom.
Tom, I just had one question about it. In on paragraph number 10,
Yes, sir.
halfway through, it says, "It shall be the responsibility of Madison County Fiscal Court to reimburse the Casey County Fiscal Court for the cost of providing security personnel in these events." That's pretty much a good standard.
Mhm.
I'm all right with that. What I was just questioning was that it goes on to say that provide that any security expenses over $500 per inmate must be pre-approved by the Madison County Judge Executive.
Mhm.
So my question about that is how are we going to enforce that? So I've spoken to the judge about it, and what I wanted to know is because it says above that they're talking about routine and emergency.
Mhm.
So on Saturday night, one of them has an accident over in the jail. They take him to emergency down there. How are they going to enforce the $500 per inmate? Are they going to call the judge? Are they going to call him on weekends? Are they going to call him on holidays?
I would say the expectation is they're going to call us, and it'll be my job to inform the judge.
I just want to make sure that everybody's cool, because your phone's going to ring in the middle of the night all kinds of times when you talk about those prisoners. So we're all good about
It
that.
does quite often anyway.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But I might not answer that one, because if I don't approve it, we don't have to pay for it, right? Yeah. Just kidding, Counselor. I'm just kidding. On the record, for the record, in the minutes.
There's
In the minutes,
lots of
I was
times
just
that's
kidding.
not in the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I actually see this coming up that we won't know they won't know if it's going to be $500 until it gets to that point anyway.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, we're at
Okay,
500.
it's all good. Thank you.
And the other thing, which to that point, Tom, do you know how many times that, have we ever had to,
In the past 3 years that we've been doing this, maybe once or twice that they
Yeah,
provided
it
security.
doesn't
Not
happen
just
very
Casey, I mean total, everybody
Yeah.
we have. Very
Yeah.
rare.
thank you,
You're very
appreciate it. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Resolution 2023-21, this is the official payroll breakdown for cost-shared employees. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning. This is a resolution for Madison County Fiscal Court approving an official payroll breakdown for Madison County cost-shared employees to comply with the Kentucky Emergency Management, Kentucky EM, and Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, standard operating procedures. Whereas in order to comply with Kentucky EM and FEMA standard operating procedures, the Madison County Fiscal Court shall provide an official payroll breakdown for cost-shared employees. And whereas the official payroll breakdowns for cost-shared employees, county employees are attached hereto this resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the Judge Executive and/or his designee to do the same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Jill. Y'all have heard Resolution 2023-21. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions about this? Everybody understand?
Seemed pretty clear to me.
All right. Hearing nothing, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Barger? Master Barger. Daggone, Master Hughes?
Yes.
He's not in the right place. Master Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Hey, you know, I'm pretty proud of you, though, that you had this
I
first time
have
you
no
messed up.
idea.
This first time you messed up.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah?
Oh.
Don't make a habit of it.
Okay. I'd hate to get fired.
All that money we pay you to be our clerk. That's
You
right.
want to be our latex.
All right. All right. Next is Men's Rehabilitation Center presentation. I think Rob's back with us today. Members of the court, city manager of the city of Richmond presented to us a few meetings back, and we've brought the other group that's part of this partnership and be part of the presentation today to the court, just to have a little bit further detailed discussion. Really appreciate everybody being here. And Rob, I'll let you introduce everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good morning, Judge, fellow magistrates. This morning we have our team with us. It's been on this project, working on this project for the past 18 months. We have Grant Meyer with the Fletcher Group, Vicki Jazovowicz with the Fletcher Group. We have Grayson Evans with Bluegrass Area District Development, and Nikki Stenitis with New Vista. Did I get that right? It took me about 2.5 years to get Vicki's last name right when I first met her, Jazovowicz. If you recall, on the 28th, I presented to you all this men's rehab project here in Richmond. It's a $6,150,000 project. Bluegrass Area Development District is facilitating the application process for us, which is an EDA application in the amount of $3 million. What you have in front of you today is an interlocal agreement that makes the city and the county equal partners for the remaining $3 million to do the project. One thing I left out last time I presented to you, the Bluegrass Area Development District is also putting in $150,000 for the project. So the Phase 1 project is $6,150,000. The city did pass the interlocal agreement on the 28th. And I want to answer any questions today. That's why we have all the players on the team here. You know, any questions you might have. One thing I will say, since the 28th, Mayor Fraley has reached out to me and informed me that there is an interest for Berea to participate in this. And I think we're in agreement. What we'd like to ask today is to move forward with you all voting on this interlocal agreement. And if approved, we would go ahead and add it to the application, submit the application. When Berea does decide what they want to do, we can come up with another interlocal agreement between the three governments. Judge Taylor, I think, had a good idea with this. I think if Berea does decide to participate, we could look at using a percentage of population payment to the project. So, you know, Berea would pay a percentage in accordance with their population. The county and city would do the same. Kind of makes it equal shares for the population you have, but we can cross that bridge when Berea comes along. So I'd like to open the floor to any questions about this project.
And, Rob, appreciate that introduction. I do want to recognize that we do have several of our council men and women here from Berea today. I really appreciate y'all being here today. We sent out an invite to everyone, and not everybody could be here. I think Mayor Fraley's at an infrastructure meeting for our airport this morning, and I know he talked about he was going to watch it. I thought it would be a good idea for all of us to kind of have a little bit of a brainstorm here. If they have any questions, please feel free, members of Berea Council, if you have questions to ask today as well. This is something that is, I think, near and dear to my heart, just because of what I've seen since I've been county judge. And the biggest scourge on our community is this drug epidemic. And so the opportunity for all of us to maybe do something together on a united front, I think is excellent. So, Grant?
Yes. Judge, I put together a short kind of summary sheet for everyone. Pass around here.
Judge, before we get started, could we, some of us don't know the members of the Berea Commission or City Council. Could we introduce ourselves at least?
Everybody knows this guy. Jerry Yeah.
Thank you. I'm kind of new and wanted to know who we were talking with. It's always good to put a name with a face.
Appreciate y'all being here. Great.
Judge, I wanted to just say a few things and let our team speak for a second, and then just open the floor to questions, any questions that the fiscal court has of us. We've been looking at this since 2019.
Grant, excuse me just a minute. Jonathan, can we make sure the mic's working or turned up? People in the audience are having a hard time hearing.
Just them.
people on the court are having a hard time hearing too.
I don't think it's on. There, is it on now?
Yeah, it's on. We've got a speaker problem. Jonathan's supposed to be upgrading our audio visual in this. Well, we may send him back to you all.
Bring it on. Preacher voice there, son.
Just kidding, just kidding.
Our group was started by the former governor of Kentucky, Ernie Fletcher, and his goal was to increase the Recovery Kentucky programs, particularly in eastern Kentucky and even nationwide. We're working in other states. And we got a power grant from the ARC to look at hot spots around the region, and we focused on Madison County just because we see a need there. And we've been working with Kentucky River Foothills on looking at their program, their women's program. We wanted to kind of do a mirror image of a men's program, but we wanted to address the fentanyl epidemic, which required us to bring new things to the table. We also wanted to address the employment issues, wanted to address your jail situation. And so New Vista graciously agreed to help us with this project. They want to be the operator on it, and I'll let Nikki talk a little more about the program itself. But the big picture is we want a program that addresses your needs here in Madison County, doesn't raise local taxes, helps revitalize a part of the community that needs it. And we're looking at, I believe all of y'all know where we're looking, and Rob's giving you a lot of information on that. So I'm going to let them talk for a second, and then we'll open the floor to questions. Nikki, do you want to?
So this project is really exciting because it gives the opportunity for us to address substance use issues along the whole continuum. And the initial phase really focuses on the first step in recovery, so it's that residential piece. It's something New Vista currently does. We currently have residential treatment out of Lexington, Kentucky, and the way that the program is designed would be that it would be a 28-day program with a next step-down phase that would be able to lengthen the period of time that the individual could stay with us and continue to receive substance use treatment, working on all different types of the social determinants of health, so that includes employment, housing, any of the social components that have to do with substance use. And so it gives us time and the ability to work with an individual that is right at their most acute state, from that initial stage all the way through to housing. That housing phase, where there's permanent supportive housing on site, as a phase 2 part of the development, and that would be allowing individuals to have subsidized housing using the voucher process. So for that initial phase, a lot of that focus is really on finding individuals that are the most vulnerable. That would be the priority population, so those coming out of jail, those coming out of institutions, those that are the most acute. Another piece of that are individuals who are maybe coming out of hospitals and may have PICC lines because of substance use. So we would be targeting individuals that are the most vulnerable to be able to integrate them into treatment and be able to wrap around them supports. The only other piece that I would mention that this project would have would be include in outpatient kind of clinic, a small one that allows for continuity of care. So when you do get your needs met on that more acute phase, you're able to come back and receive treatment as well. So it's the full array to be able to address the many components of substance use.
Hi, I know many of you, and I know you from my former life where I was the executive director and the chief administrative officer for Kentucky River Foothills for many years. And I retired from that job in April, and in June had the honor of joining the Fletcher Group as a part-time rural specialist where I focus on SUD and recovery housing. So with this project being local and me being local, it's such a natural fit to be able to work on it. I will be involved with the project, and the construction is very similar to projects that I worked on when I worked for Kentucky River Foothills. You're all familiar with Liberty Place, and I can tell you Liberty Place started nearly 16 years ago, and there's been some unbelievable miracles that have come through Liberty Place. And, you've got that little ball in front of you that says every child needs a champion. Really, every person needs a champion. And, we've seen the drug epidemic, it's caused children to lose their parents and parents to lose their children. And, they're not throwaway people. Recovery is possible. And, I sure hope that you will support this project. And again, I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to be involved with it. I don't know how many years that I said, well, Madison County's got Liberty Place for women, but we don't have anything for men. So let's try to do something about that if we can. Judge Taylor's got my cell phone number. If any of you ever need to talk to me, just get the number from him. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki.
Judge, members of the court, I can address some of the financial side of this initiative and the grants a little bit. This interlocal agreement you're considering today is one of the last dominoes to fall, if you will, in the process of making sure that we are eligible for funding from the Economic Development Administration. Many of you all know that large federal grants typically desire to be the last dollars into a project, if you will, meaning that we've essentially kind of set the stage and lined up all of the other dominoes to be able to make this project move forward. And Rob and I have discussed recently the fact that this project very well could set a new standard in our area for regional cooperation on recovery housing efforts and addressing the substance use disorders that are such a scourge in our communities. We are kind of on the cusp now with so many communities beginning to receive opioid settlement monies that that you all really do have an opportunity, I think, to become a poster child, if you will, for ways that we can creatively address substance use disorders in our communities. So we will be submitting a $3 million application to the Economic Development Administration in Atlanta, and that will make up basically the other half of the funding package for this project. The rest of the cities and counties in the Bluegrass ad also do recognize the importance of this initiative and this project to the region as a whole. The $150,000 grant that you see as a line item on grants handout there does come from the AD's Area Development Fund. These were monies that were set aside years ago by the Department for Local Government that could be distributed by the Area Development District, but that regional pool of funds is for all 17 of our counties. The 16 other counties have recognized the importance of what you guys are doing here. So happy to field any other questions associated with the funding side of things, but thank you all.
Are there, did you say that any other counties in the Bluegrass ad have done a similar thing, or did you say we're the first?
From a regional standpoint, you all are among the first. This will, like I said, probably set a new standard for regional cooperation, and all of the partners coming together here, it works really, really nicely. The proposed operator, New Vista, operates on the same 17-county footprint that the Bluegrass ad does. So this is something that we do believe all of the other counties in our region have invested into, but no, you all are the first to put something together of this scale and on a regional level.
Thank you.
Sir.
Appreciate it. Any questions?
I have several.
Yeah, Brian?
One question I have, is there any faith-based treatment to what New Vista does? What do you define as your success rate? What is a successful rehabilitation?
So success is the re-engagement in the community in a meaningful way. The journey in recovery is unique to an individual, and I think sometimes there are bumps along that journey, but that ability to quickly get back on track and be able to deal with all facets of that individual. So getting them back in their home, getting them back working again, getting them in a place that's stable to live. So that success is really that long-term ability to get back into the community and be able to stay there.
What would you say your success rate is?
Our success rate of individuals who go through residential treatment, I think It's hard right now to tell you how successful as far as the long-term continuum, because a lot of times right now, and what is exciting about this project is that you have 28 days to get somebody stabilized and out and into the community. And we serve, because we're one of the residential programs that serve some of the most vulnerable, we do serve the surrounding counties. So there's often times where we serve them in that capacity, and then they're kind of out, and we connect them to the resources more locally. So unless we see them again, we're not able to see the full continuum and where they're operating a year or 2 years later. The very key part of this program that I think makes it a lot more able to show the success and demonstrate, and what is shown through research to be most effective, is really going beyond that 28 days, going into 6 months, a year later, and being able to support. Because oftentimes you get through that 28-day window and there's a period 6 weeks later, they call the wall, where your brain chemistry is adjusting to your new life, and you're also trying to maintain your recovery. That tends to be some of the most difficult. And so being able to have an individual still in recovery at that point in time, still being able to wrap around supports, intensify them, or add additional pieces of that recovery is vital, I think, to showing the true success of a program. And with this one, you'll be able to trace it and see it with a lot more tangible pieces.
Do you all use evidence-based outcome? Is that your treatment?
Yes. Yes, all of our program for residential treatment, one of the expectations is that you have CARF certification to be able to certify you as what is called a 3.5 ASAM level of care. New Vista has that certification, and we continue that certification. It requires entities coming in, evaluating how you're operating, ensuring your evidence-based practices are occurring. So part of that monitoring. We're also the Joint Commission accredited as well.
You asked a question at the beginning, I don't know if about faith-based.
Yes.
Did they answer that?
Yes.
Okay.
They do not offer it.
That's not, okay. I didn't hear it, so that's right.
You know, I think this is one of the pieces of the puzzle, and I think our community is starting to see a lot of the pieces of the puzzle come together. We have an Enrich program, which is taking people that may finish this 28-day program we're talking about and puts them to work, and also will offer some transitional housing. So that's another piece of the puzzle that helps people get back into mainstream. The other piece is, and Virgil's very familiar with this, is Madison Home, which helps with the homeless and the addiction. So that's kind of a front end piece of it, where that initial engagement with somebody that's homeless or addicted needs the help, and we can get them to the services they need. The City of Richmond has supported both of these programs financially, and we've also made the commitment to hire a full-time social worker in our police force to help with these casework. You know, really, that initial contact, if you can start casework with somebody and they will give you that information, you can get them to the resources that are available. So what's exciting about this for me is, Grayson mentioned it yesterday in an email, is you've got the city and the county, and we've bridged a lot of gaps over the past 3-4 years, I feel like, Judge, in our relationship and working together, and Bria as well. You know, setting a standard on a regional basis, working together between 3 governments to provide these kind of services to the community is pretty cool. And the strength of this application, with already having an option on the property, showing that the project's fully funded. You know, I don't know what the feds will do with approving the $3 million grant, but I think it's a very strong application. And so we appreciate you all's commitment, and hopefully you'll pass it today, and if you do so, we'll move forward with it. And like I said, Mayor Fraley and I have been talking, and if they want to join us at a later date, I guess, Grayson, we can adjust the application with another partner. Sure. If Bria came along, we could adjust the application with an interlocal between the 3 governments.
And also, too, you know, we all 3 governments are, you know, to pay for this using that opioid settlement dollars that have to go for certain funding things. That, I mean, I
think that's important, Judge, because we're not using money out of our general fund. We're actually using the opioid settlement money to make up the difference in the
There's
project.
only certain things you can spend that
That's
money
right,
on,
yeah.
so this would be.
And this is one of them.
Well, and in this particular situation, that's what we need to be spending it on, is our challenge that we have here in Madison County, which includes both Berea and Richmond. And, you know, that's very exciting for me, because we've all talked about the things that can be done, and now we're taking an action. And I commend Rob on that. I also want to say that I heard the term regional cooperation, and I ran on regional cooperation because I just think there's so much opportunity and so much upside in Madison County, and that doesn't include just Madison County Fiscal Court. It includes the great cities of Berea and Richmond, and the two institutions, higher ed institutions that we have there. And the more we can work, the better off our citizenry is going to be. And I just think it's based on Rob and the judge and mayors, Fraley's. I think it's a new time, and I'm very excited about how people are starting to work together. And it relieves me, because people said, well, that'll never work because we've already asked them 20 years ago. Well, this is not 20 years ago. This is now. So I commend the leadership of the county.
And Magistrate Lockmuller, that chain has been broken. There's an old guard in this town that wants to separate the lines between governments, and I can tell you from the 5 years being in this position that when Reagan was here and I was new, we jumped right into a relationship, and it's about trust. It comes down to trusting each other as governments in what we're doing, and I've got the same relationship with Bruce Fraley. So it takes time to get there, but we're getting there. There's no doubt about it.
And one thing about this drug, go ahead, Jerry.
On the funding, over the settlement is gonna, who's gonna keep this going, the funds? This ain't a local agreement, I understand, that's to get it started, but then who's gonna pay, how we gonna pay for it to keep it going? Is it over the settlement, how long is it gonna be, we're gonna get those checks?
I think it's over the next 18 years.
It is. Well, Jerry, so our funding is going to get the operations going. It's not for operations. It's for the development cost, the construction cost of getting the facility ready. New Vista will operate it, and they'll have a revenue stream that operates it on a daily basis.
The revenue stream comes from the opiate settlement?
No, their revenue stream will come through billing of Medicaid.
Oh, okay, insurance?
Insurance, billing for that.
So if you don't have insurance, you can't get in then?
No, we serve anybody. So we also get some state dollars through the Department of Behavioral Health, and some of those dollars can go to individuals who are uninsured. But ultimately, we would be working with individuals to get them insured. But
it's a 28-day process. Did I hear you say you stay 28 or 30 days or something?
the initial stage is 28 days. This project would be longer. This would be a part of that continuum, so there'd be a transitional step down in addition to that piece. So it would allow for a lengthened length of stay.
You know, rehabilitation's fine, okay? It's good, but the problem is when the people gets out of rehabilitation, you know, they've lost their driver's license probably, nobody won't harm them, their families quit them.
Yeah.
It's just so hard for them to transition back into society.
Yes.
It's just about impossible if you don't have any help. I know, I've got a family member, so I know all about it, okay? So, you say now, the construction of this, did I hear you say y'all that took out an option on a piece of land or something?
We currently have an option on a existing property with buildings, so it wouldn't be a new build, it would be a renovation. And so, yeah, we do have an option. It's like $1 option, so it's not costing us, the city, but we've got a 2-year option on it. So we are hoping when this comes to fruition, we could exercise that option and have the property ready to work on.
How many people will it hold? I mean, how many?
Phase 1 is 40 beds, and phase 2 is 55, is that right? And all of these beds, I guess the front end beds can be used for jail diversion, for nonviolent people with drug problems.
And So this facility that you may have option on, it's got room enough for this, you don't have to build a building on it.
That's
It's an
correct.
existing building that you can refit up.
Yes, sir. It's got actually 3 buildings, and it'll, a $6 million project to renovate it. If we had to do a new build on a property like this, it would be, 2 or 3 times that much, easy.
Yeah, and there's also a bigger footprint too to
Yeah.
expand if there ever is a need to expand.
There's green space that's with the property as well, so,
Okay, so
yeah.
that's good.
Yes, sir.
Can I add one thing? Because you made a good point. When you mentioned the need to get back into the community and how you have, like, it's one thing to recover, but it's another thing to build back your life.
It's as hard to get back in as it is to get through recovery.
Absolutely. And I think part of what this allows for, so one thing that I didn't mention is part of that 28-day program and ongoing are recovery groups, some of which are faith-based, so if AA, NA, that sort of thing, as well as that next phase is really about building that social connection. So whatever that might look like for an individual, that could be finding a local church that you're connected to, finding a local group that you could build your recovery network in, because sometimes our clients have lost their family for various reasons. So reestablishing that social piece would be part of this program. There's case managers that help with all of those pieces you mentioned, like getting your driver's license back, helping get people reintegrated. And that social piece, I think, is just as important as all the other pieces for long-term success in recovery. So you bring up an important point. I just wanted to comment on that.
One more question. No, not for you, for Rob.
Yes, sir.
Is the area that you're going to put it in going to be acceptable? It's going to be accepted? We're not going to have no big
It is.
issues or community issues or?
We've thought about that, and the area that it's in, with the green space that's with the area, it gives you a good buffer, but it's also in what they call, Jerry, a qualified census tract, where the neighbors really, with the green space and the location, I think we're going to be okay with that. We're comfortable with where it is, yeah. We really feel that way. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the transition from a facility like this, because you're right, that's where the missing link is. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a group in town that has recently bought a building here on South 2nd, and it's called Enrich, and it's a restaurant okay, good, so you're familiar with that. So I think that'll help with that. Yeah, I think that'll help with it as well, and Madison Home does a wonderful job as well, so, yeah.
So we also have social workers, and we also help them get their social security cards. We also help them in housing. So what they're doing is we're doing the same thing, just on a smaller level. And we're also working on our building to where we can have beds in our building to bed people and get them into transition also. So I'm excited too, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah, Madison Home will be eventually to do short-term housing.
Yes.
In the old hospital building. Katie, I'm sorry.
I apologize, I stepped out, so maybe I missed this, but funding-wise, with the federal grant and then the Bluegrass Ag grant, with the opioid settlement funds, will that be sufficient, or are there other pieces of funding that y'all are pursuing?
No, so everybody's rates on the opioid settlement funds have already really been established.
Yeah.
And so this, we will not need any more funds. I mean, we'll have extra funds. We'll still have funds to use for, a county, once all the settlements are done, the county itself, we're getting about $4.5 million. City of Richmond, are y'all?
Three, I think,
Three.
or just under 3, maybe.
And I think the city of Berea's, maybe is around 700, I think. Now it obviously is over time. There's different timelines that from the different providers that are having to pay when it's due, but.
And to that point, Katie, Judge and I have talked about, how those payments come into the different governments. If this happened quicker than we thought it would, and we got into a position where we needed to maybe bond or finance the additional $3 million between the 3 governments and then service that financing with the opioid money.
Opioid settlement dollars as it comes in.
Yeah. We may not need to do that, but we've talked about that already.
Who's actually going to operate this in the Fletcher group? What do they actually do? Do they operate it, or do they just help us?
New Vista does.
They run it.
Yeah,
Vista.
yeah, so there's no operation cost between the three governments at all. New Vista will come in and actually operate the facility.
So y'all got facilities now that in other parts that
Well, they're actually located right now here in Richmond, out off Red House Road, correct?
Our clinic is there, yes.
Mhm.
Our resident, so we have a outpatient clinic. We have an outpatient clinic on Gibson Lane that does all of the outpatient pieces, and then we right now have a residential 28-day program operating out of Lexington.
And I don't want y'all to think I left Berea out. I didn't, but I approached Mayor Fraley about it. It's one of those deals with these kind of, you get everything lined up and ready to go, and it happened quick. I reached out to Mayor Fraley, and he said that you all had a private group in Richmond that he thought was putting in a facility. Didn't know if there'd be an interest there, so I did reach out and I moved forward with it, and obviously now there is an interest, and we would love to have you as a partner, so.
thank you, Rob.
You bet.
Any other questions?
So just got a couple comments, Judge. The very first thing I'd like to say is I want to thank the Berea City Councilmen and women, thank you all for coming today, because this is something that we at the county level have talked about this for years and years and years. And, you know, we're very fortunate that we live in a time where that there's now money to pay for it without putting a strain on our citizens that we've never had. We've never had that. Magistrate Combs and I have met with Mayor Fraley, and we've talked to him several times about different things, but this is one of the things, you know, that we've discussed. And so I'm glad that you all have taken your time to come over and hear the information. I also hope, Judge, that we can send them back with a copy of the information that we received, because it will help answer some of the questions in the phasing and what will be in that phasing. And so it's the information pieces that you're looking for so that you all can make a good decision. I wanted to just ask one other question to New Vista. Will, as part of your treatment, let me back up just a little bit. I'll get you just a second. You know, we've talked about this, and to some degree, our jail is a mini facility. Now, before people start beating me to death over this, we have folks in the jail, generally speaking, for a long enough period of time so that to some degree they're clean when they leave the jail. The problem is the problem we've always said. If you don't have a job, and the things that's been mentioned here today, if you don't have a place to live, what do? Well, unfortunately, you go right back to the same environment that you came from, and nothing changes. The cycle is not broken at all. That's why that this piece is part of the missing piece, because if everything is built, it does have a comprehensive treatment, Jerry, that you were asking about. It also will have a recovery workforce campus to help folks with that, and the workforce development and employment services. So, you know, in the past, when we looked at this years ago, we had employers who were willing to give folks a second chance. The problem was we didn't have any way to pay for it. And our efforts to pay for it resulted in a disaster. But this is a totally different time, totally different day. God's blessed us here, and we do have opportunity to help our citizens and move forward. My question that I wanted to know from New Vista is in your facilities and your future follow-ons, in any of that process for the medical treatment, do you intend to, and will you be using Vivitrol?
Yeah, so we would be, Vivitrol, Suboxone would be offered most likely on site. I don't know a scenario where we wouldn't have that. And then it's within proximity of our methadone clinic in Lexington. So depending, there might be some ability for methadone, but most likely Suboxone and Vivitrol would be the medications for opioid use disorder we'd be able to immediately begin to getting as soon as they come out. And in some cases, because of where it's going in the jails, there will probably be medications for opioid use disorder started in the jail, and it would be something we could continue, like if there was that process to bridge that gap to ensure if there was Vivitrol given in the jail, or we could continue that as well.
So the reason that this is important to me, and for everybody that doesn't know, part of the treatment for some folks, it's not a one-size-fits-everybody, unfortunately, but some of the treatment for some people is methadone and Suboxone. Unfortunately, both of those two substances are as addictive to some degree as what you're coming off of. And you can face that and shape it any way you want to. That's the facts of it. But some people, unfortunately, that is their treatment process. They have to have it. Vivitrol, if you're not familiar with it, I challenge you to look it up and do some research on it. It's Vivitrol. It is a opioid blocker that blocks the receptors in your brain so that you don't crave. It comes in two versions. You can take it a pill every day. I don't think that's good, but I'm not a doctor. You can take a shot that lasts 28 days. So that, for me personally, that's a better route. But like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I want to make sure, because I'm not really a supporter of any facility that won't at least talk about using that as a medication.
Tom, I agree with you. I wasn't aware they were going to use the Vivitrol, but, I think a lot of us in this room have family experience with people that struggle with this problem, and I've had a family member that the Vivitrol was a game changer for them. I mean, it was. The craving that they had, that was a problem. They had the toolbox and were trying to use it, but the craving they had for it just would not stop. And the Vivitrol, it was unbelievable. After the first shot, and I think about 2 weeks in, this individual is like night and day. So it's a game changer. There's no doubt about it. Yes, sir.
It's on the business side of it. You know, the interlocal agreement, those three entities sign all those signs, okay? Then the three entities would own it, is that correct? Who actually owns the facility? Is it going to be leased out into the operator? Explain that a little bit, how that works.
I'm not sure I have the answers. I guess the way it would work, because right now the city has an option on the property, and part of the purchase price is in that $6 million, right? So the purchase price of the property is part of that $6 million renovation cost. So I would think that we would have to your point, an interlocal agreement between the.
Where does the deed go to? How does it get deeded, and then do we lease it to the operator? That's my question.
Yeah, we would. That's how that would work. And I don't, I think initially when we started down this road as the city, we actually have some ownership on that property as well already. So the way we were going to approach it might be a $1 lease per year or something, so we can get this facility to our community.
Are we going to lease the facility then? We're not going to buy it?
Well, we would buy it as the three governments. It's part of the $6 million. So we'd have to work through the real estate part of it if it's, jointly owned between the three governments. And then we lease it back to New Vista to operate.
But somebody has to upkeep it and operate it, and then do the treatment facility of it.
Well, that's New Vista, right? Yeah.
Somebody's to oversee the property and make sure that we've got a decent facility for the people to get treated in.
Yeah.
Well, that's what our money's going towards.
But who's?
Our money's going to go towards, making it a nice facility, and then New Vista will be.
We're going to lease it to them then?
Yeah. Well, we'll lease it for $0.
I understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about who's going to upkeep the building. How are we going to keep this facility,
maintained?
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
They would. That would be part of their operational budget.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
asked you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that normally how that works?
The business side is very important. I know the other side's more important, but it's all together.
I mean, Vicki could probably speak a little bit towards, Vicki, could you speak a little bit towards how, this is very similar to Liberty Place, correct?
Yes.
As far as the operations and things like that?
Yes, with Liberty Place. I don't know if you've ever visited Liberty Place, but it's a women's program, and they opened 16 years ago. And so much of the operating budget is set aside each month for renovations or repairs. And one of the things that happens at Liberty Place, and I don't know if Nikki is planning for this, but the clients do some of the work. If something needs painted, then they do the painting. So that cuts down on a lot of the maintenance cost. Shrubs get trimmed, yards get mowed. Obviously, there's payment made if there's an electrician or a plumber, something that could cause structural harm. But usually the budget includes line items for taking care of the facility.
Your expertise would be in the treatment facility, getting people back, not in that line of taking care of the property.
Well, when my former employer, Kentucky River Foothills, started Liberty Place, we didn't really have that experience either in taking care of a facility. And yet, 16 years later, Liberty Place is standing and the walls are firm. Little interesting aside, as we would call it, a fun fact. Your county judge executive up there built Liberty Place before he ever became your county judge or probably ever thought about it. So Judge Taylor can say that he's been associated with the construction of a similar facility since the very beginning.
And this is a question I want to...
Well, that's a good question.
Yes,
Jerry,
it is a good question.
to give you some comfort with that, the city would be there for support. The city of Richmond would, it's right in our backyard. We would be there to support facilities like this if they call me. We do it with the Veterans Center. We do it with the Senior Active Living Center. We'll do it with Madison Home. If they call me and, if Virgil calls me and said, hey, we got a problem over here, we need a plumber to help us out, we'll help them out. So I think we'll make that work. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when we look at this, the way I'm going to look at this is that we're investing in people's lives. We're investing in the success of a program, and are we going to hit it? I mean, are we going to hit it perfect? No, but as people, we've got to be willing to make those changes and those tweaks to a program to make it even more successful. We got to combat this drug epidemic. I mean, we have to. I mean, this fiscal court, whether it's members here or whether it's previous members of the court, we've been combating this, trying to combat this since I've been here for 8 years, going on 9, because of what the impact it's making on our budget because of the jail. I mean, you can research statistics all day long, and we don't have mental health beds in the United States. I mean, that's our problem. Our jail has become that mental health bed, and it's not built or designed for that. And so investing in these programs like this, man, I'm investing in the success of people, and I'm gonna hold New Vista accountable. I'm investing in holding them accountable for making sure that their program is successful. I'm investing in Grant and Governor Fletcher and the Fletcher Group because they've had success in this since Governor Fletcher was governor. I mean, Recovery Kentucky was his initiative, and a lot of times when we look at success of programs, I think we're looking at them because most programs are a short-term program. I mean, I think it's crazy that the Medicaid reimbursement is only 30 days high intense treatment. I mean, Jerry, it's not. I mean, our loved ones are on drugs and on dope for 9 years, and they're expected to get off of them in 30 days. I mean, it's not going to happen. And so, having these phased programs, trying to add a little bit to a program to make it more successful is exciting to me.
Building their self-confidence up, trying to get them back out on the streets is just as important as getting them, where they'll feel decent about themselves.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And if you know somebody, and I say this from experience, if you know somebody that has recovered and is charging forward, celebrate them, because that percentage of people that get it, unfortunately, that percentage of people that get it and get back on their feet and do it is not much.
A lot of people relapse if they don't, the first time they relapse, and then it takes them, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got a family member that's just...
I've been through it. I can attest to it as well.
And there are success stories.
Yeah.
I mean, there are. So, any other questions, comments, concerns?
Just last comment, Judge. We've done enough on this one, but Rob, I just want to thank you and the City of Richmond and Judge. Thank you for you guys getting together on this. Now that we've got funding that won't affect our citizens and our taxes and those things, thank you, men, for working together on that and trying to get this all worked out.
Thanks, Tom. Teresa?
I have a comment as well. I think one of the most successful things in this county.
Hey, Teresa, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I hate to do this to you, but I just got a text that people watching can't hear from the audience. Would you please bring your beautiful face up here to this microphone?
You sure can't hear back there, and I don't hear good anyway.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know you'll kill me, but I'm sorry.
I'll kill you later.
Yeah.
I'll kill you later.
Yeah.
Represent Bruce good, okay?
You need to get some hearing aids, Jerry, just like me.
He does. Thank you for that, Reagan. Now, what I wanted to say was that I think one of the most successful things in this county has been the interlocal agreement for the airport, and we've seen it grow exponentially, and we've recently added EKU into that mix, and these people's lives are so much more important than even our airport. So I hope we can move forward with it.
Yeah. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate those kind words. It's good.
Just one other thing, Judge, before we vote, Jenny or Mr. Jones, is there anybody in our jail right now that would qualify for diversion to this program?
The issue is what's the definition of qualify. So we already work with a lot of agencies.
Hey, Jenny. Sorry. Man, I get texts. I get fussed at up here. I get text
I
messages.
try to
right
turn
in the
that
middle of the
microphone
court.
away from me as much as possible. So we work with a lot of other programs too that, divert low-level offenders. One of the big ones we do is the Baptist Health CDIOP program. We love Liberty Place. We always have. And so we look at those analyses already. Are there some people in that jail that qualify? I would say yes, because there's some people who don't want to go. That's an issue, right? We have to get them they want to take that opportunity. But there's also an analysis of what deems to be qualified for it. Unfortunately, I'm not the end-all be-all for the say on who gets to go into the programs. Most of those are felony offenses. The Commonwealth attorneys and I work together, and we try to take the first-time low-level offenders, maybe second-time low-level offenders, and put them in those programs. But unfortunately, there's probably people sitting in that jail that have an extensive criminal history with drug usage that would benefit from the programs, but I can't say that they qualify for the program with no terms set out for what that means. We also have Senate Bill 90 coming down the pike. That creates a statutory requirement that tells us what that qualification is, so we can make that. Right now, the people I'm sending to different treatments, it's all discretionary. It's based on the fact that, we know we have the jail overcrowding. We know they need treatment. We don't make the assessment on whether or not it needs to be inpatient or outpatient. I send that to a qualified mental health professional. So either New Vista, who we get to work with a lot here on some other things too, or Baptist Health, they get to make that assessment, and they refer back to us and say, hey, this is what we recommend. Long-term inpatient, short-term inpatient, outpatient, CDIOPs, intensive outpatient. And so they make that determination, and we funnel them through there. So I've been talking to Jill, I think we've been trying to come up, I've been doing the Baptist Health program for right about a year. We've sent 100 people through that program in right about a year. 100 people doesn't sound like a lot necessarily in the big scheme when you're looking at our total population, but those are 100 different individual people that we are trying to focus through that one singular program. So including other ones stuff, that's a good number for us. I think that's a really good outcome. So,
and just to add, there's actually different moving parts within people in jail. There's those that get out in the first 48 hours. So what we've been doing at the jail also, we coupled with the HEAL program, which was funded by a grant to UK, and that has turned into Voices of Hope. We now have a memorandum of agreement with them. We try to see everybody in the jail, or have them, peer support specialists, see them within the first 24 hours of them being in jail. Business hours, they can't work all the time. But that tries to get even the people that are getting out in that first 24 hours is what we're shooting for. What she's speaking about is the people, once they make it to court, it's kind of out of the community's hands. You have committed a crime, and that is a consideration, but we also understand you may be in crisis, so that's a consideration. So the jail doesn't play that game. We're just trying to get the ones that come in, the sons and daughters that show up off the street in crisis in that moment, and he nailed it on the head. The problem I've watched for 22 years is we turn them out at the back door at midnight, and there you are. No resources, nowhere to go. You're going to walk back into the exact same scenario. So what the Voices of Hope is doing now is they are supplying at least the direction at some resources that are available within the community. And it's correlation. I can't prove causation yet, but since this program has been in place, which it's not just us, it's us, Baptist Health, County Attorney, Commonwealth Attorney, ASW through public advocacy, multiple people doing it, we have went from an 84% recidivism rate to 90 or 69. That's significant. Of course, that's correlation. I can't show that it's exactly that we're doing it, but something has happened in that past year to the good.
But I think too, Brian, to your point too, there's so many people where we haven't had these types of programs or resources that, you know, if you go back 10 years, how many felonies did that individual get on their record to make it harder to come out of that dark hole because of all the damage that has been done? But if you'd have had programs like this that could have diverted through Jenny, when Jenny sees that person the first time, there's somebody there that's kind of counseling them, saying, hey, you're going down a bad path. The second time, you know, that these people have a resource or have that opportunity. They didn't have that 10 years ago. I mean, one of my good friends that does some flooring work for me, Curtis Collins, I'm more proud of that guy. I mean, he came out of death. I mean, spent, I don't know, 20 years of his in prison, in jail, I mean, in and out of, I don't know, of his 25 years of adult life or something like that. He's got a successful business. And if he'd have had those resources and those opportunities 15, 20 years ago, he might not have had 20 years in jail, right? So.
And I will say this, you know, we try, right? The jail tries, we're all trying. But one of our number one complaints is always lack of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, whether it's mental health, whether it's behavioral health, whether it's a combination of all the above, it's always a lack of resources. So we're always welcome if it, you know, from a fiscal court side, you guys have to obviously oversee the money, and we have to make sure there's certain legal requirements that are met before I say you're okay just to kind of donate money. But there are certain programs and certain causes that we need those resources. We love Liberty Place, we use it, but again, that's only for women. We don't have that facility for men. Are we putting some trust into New Vista? Are we putting some trust into a program? Yes. They're called New Vista, but they're not really new. I mean, we've worked with them for years. So, you know, I can't tell you that it's not a resource that will be utilized, because it will be. I mean, it's something that we do need.
And one of the things I have in our jail is we don't measure our success by actually creating successful citizens. If we've saved one person, we're never going to know if we're successful, and that's great. If we've saved one person, success. If we've caused one person to use drugs one less time this week, that's a success. So we're not going to be able to show you success.
One of my things is, you know, I've seen it in my family, it's probably everybody in this room, is that without faith, there's not a change. And without a heart change, there's not any change. But I view this as, like the judge said, this is a resource that we as government can do to start that process. You know, we can't finish it. It is a process. And we're going to have the faith-based community. Those of us that believe by faith, that believe that the standard is the truth, which is the Word of God, is going to make the difference. And we're going to have to come alongside, you know, these resources to make a difference. This in itself is just a start. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I appreciate everybody that's done all the work and put into this, and I hope that, you know, I pray that this makes a difference.
All right. Judge, I want to add one thing. The components, the two components that we've just talked about, and I agree with Brian, I hope we won't forget as a government and as Berea and Richmond that we also have to have the educational piece for our youth. If we start now educating our youth, then maybe there'll be new generations that don't want to have this issue. It might be a leap of faith, but we've got to try our education as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a bigger picture to this. this is kind of a step one on the rehabilitation side. I think there is going to be a prevention component that will be presented to the court, and I hope to the cities as well. If everybody remembers, before COVID, we had the Too Good for Drugs program that we all had kind of partnered together with, and our law enforcement agencies and our fire departments were actually going into schools and teaching that curriculum. It was about a 9-week curriculum. And I think something along that line from a prevention standpoint is very important, and we'll look forward to presenting something back to the court in the future on that. And Brian, I want to add a little bit to what you said, because you're so right. This previous administration, previous court had put together a jail task force back in 2015, and we really looked into what our needs were from our community, and we saw that we weren't going to incarcerate our way out of this drug epidemic, that we needed to rehabilitate. And they got tired. We got too long-winded up here, I guess. Everybody had to sit down, rest their legs.
Let's vote.
But anyway, the community told us that we didn't need to lead this charge, that we need to support this charge. And so I could not agree with your words more, that our governments are supporting this charge, and we need our churches, we need our community citizens to get behind and lead by example. I had a pastor tell me one time that it's the church's responsibility to fight this drug epidemic, and I agree, it is. And so we just need everybody to step up, and let's come together on a unified approach and support this endeavor and really fight this drug epidemic. So,
in conjunction with Madison Home, right now the churches are providing food, they're providing clothing, and they're providing housing 7 days a week. It's a 3-month program that we have from December till March. It ends on March 15th, but every day we feed, we clothe, and we house. So the churches are involved. I mean, and what we need to do is get people more, let them know that the churches are doing that. A lot of people don't know that, but the churches in Richmond are involved, and it is faith-based. We pray every night before we start. We have a prayer, and we do try to let them know that God is the way,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just want to let you know.
Madison Home needs Levi's size 30 to 34.
Yes, sir.
You guys have
Yes,
done
sir.
that size.
Yes, sir. Maybe
man, I haven't seen size 30 in a long time. I'm sorry.
I don't think I wore Levi's when they were 30, 34s.
All right. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much, Vicki. It's great to see you. Appreciate you being here. Next on the agenda is Resolution 2023-22. Jill?
This is a resolution to approve the Joint Men's Rehabilitation Center Interlocal Cooperation Agreement between Madison County Fiscal Court and Richmond City Commission. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court and Richmond City Commission propose to enter into a joint interlocal cooperative agreement, and whereas the purpose of this interlocal cooperation agreement is to allocate opioid settlement funds to construct the Men's Rehabilitation Center in Richmond, Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the funding of this project is contingent upon joint application for grant monies being approved and obtained through the EDA grant in 2023. And whereas Madison County and the City of Richmond do hereby agree to the terms set forth in the interlocal cooperation agreement, which is attached hereto this resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve to enter into this joint Men's Rehabilitation Center interlocal cooperation agreement and authorizes the Judge Executive and/or his designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Motion approved Resolution 2023-22, Judge.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and I hope we don't need any further discussion. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Hughes,
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes, and I pledge my support for this endeavor.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. And I want to thank again Berea Council members for being here today. It means a lot to me, and I think it's really refreshing to our communities that we have this kind of relationship. So, Rob, thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, personnel.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you all? Okay. I would just like to propose the approval of all personnel changes and new hires that are included within your court packets.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, call the roll.
Magistrate Hughes?
Yes.
Pastor Buchan?
Yes.
Pastor Combs?
Yes.
Pastor Lockmuller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Morgan. Next is the judge's report. I do have a few announcements today. I'm trying to make it somewhat quick. Some of my announcements were a part of the Be a Children's Champion. Just members of the court, elected officials, community members, please see this. There's a lot of great activities for kids for being Children's Champions Month coming up. So take part in any of that you can. Stop by and show our support. Spark Ministries is having a black balloon overdose awareness event on the courthouse lawn from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday, March the 2nd. So this coming Thursday, anybody that wants to stop and just show your support with Sparks Ministries. And again, part of this is bringing awareness to this drug epidemic that we all face each and every day. Berea Chamber of Commerce is hosting their second annual Catch the Leprechaun 5K on Saturday, March the 11th at 9 a.m. at the Berea Community High School. Contact the Chamber of Commerce in Berea there for more information. It is a fun event, and last year I actually ran in that event, and man, that leprechaun started like 3 minutes after I started and still beat me by like 5 minutes or something like that. I mean, that guy was getting it. I think he might have been a Berea College student or something, but he was actually dressed in the leprechaun outfit and went flying past me, and I thought, Lordy mercy.
Are you going to address that this year?
No, I'm not. No, I won't be the
You're in
leprechaun.
better shape this year, Judge.
Yeah, I tried. I might be a little bit better shape. I don't know. Daylight savings time will begin Sunday, March the 12th. Be sure to set your clocks forward 1 hour before you go to bed on Saturday, March the 12th. And then Richmond branch of the Madison County Public Library will be hosting a special unveiling service for the Richmond's Tuskegee Airmen Interpretive Marker on Thursday, March 23rd at 3:30 p.m. So anybody that might be interested in participating in that, that'll be a great event. And last but not least, I always like to try to recognize folks that sometimes are behind the scenes and that are working really hard. And a lot of times people don't always know how hard they work and how much they do. But I want to recognize Jill Williams today, just in how much that she's put into this since she's been with us since last September. People I don't think really know how much of a blessing that she is to not just me, but just to our staff. I mean, we have and to Rob back there. Man, it's, and I know magistrates, other elected officials, you don't always see it because you all, don't see it on a daily basis. But you should be very proud of all of our team. But Jill is doing some outstanding work for the citizens of Madison County. And so I just want to recognize you today. And
Reagan, I see it, so I appreciate it.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Comments from magistrates. Brian, yeah, first.
Just want to, I'm excited about the partnership, potentially with all three governments. I think it's great. We need to do more of it, and we look to and hope to do more of it as we go along. I want to thank Scott and Melissa for working on some road projects this week. All the rain has caused us to realize every problem that we have, I guess. I want to mention Brandon McIntosh. I know he's probably watching because he called me the last time that I mentioned trash in the roads, and he had some crews get out and pick up some trash around the 1st District. And I think his whole schedule this week was in the 1st District, and I told him that we're a 1st District for a reason. We want all the help we can get, and we're first for that reason. But also want to wish my daughter a happy birthday. Today's her 21st. She's probably not listening, but maybe later she'll catch it. But other than that, Judge, I'm just glad to be here.
Glad you're here, buddy.
Yes, I would say the same as Magistrate Combs, that the staff that we have works hard behind the scenes that I've seen, and I appreciate you, and that's probably the biggest surprise coming from where I came from to county government, was seeing the quality of staff that we have. I was just blown out by it, so we appreciate everything that you all do. The judge has a great team, and we're proud to be a small part of it. Second, Valley View, with our construction and the equipment that we're doing, is going along fine and very well, and so hopefully we'll continue to give updates on that to the public so that we can get that opened up and get our ferry back running. But right now things are going along very well. Last but not least, I too would say thank you to Berea, and thank you to Richmond, and thank you to the judge and the organization. I've been a big proponent of working together for the betterment of all Madison County citizens, and I've seen a change, Rob, and kudos to you and Mayor and everybody, but there's so much more we can do together than we can if we do our individual things. So thank you all for your all's ability and willingness to work together. I think it's a great thing for this county. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Billy Ray.
A couple of items. I want to put in a plug for the county clerk's office. If you've got a vehicle and you need to get your license renewed, if you have not had any lapse in insurance coverage and it's not past due, you can go online and renew your license. I did the other day on my farm trucks, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. Even a caveman can do it. So I want to just put in a plug for that right there. It's a good service, and Union City Raritan's having one of their famous pancake breakfasts this Saturday. So Union City's got a unique community down there, and I just want to put in a plug for those guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Billy Ray. Tom?
Just a couple things, Judge. First, I want to ask Kenny, at the last meeting, Resolution 2315 was the county clerk election equipment grant, and that day you told us that a vendor was going to be chosen and equipment ordered. Did that happen?
Yep, it was last week,
I signed it.
Thursday,
You
something
sent it
like
over,
that. Yeah, we got the agreement signed. We chose, Board of Elections met on Thursday of that week, and we chose ES&S to provide the poll books, which is the same company that provides our election equipment, which means there's not a go-between like there has been before. It shortens that process up quite a bit, which is very important, because once that ballot gets certified, we get the ballot fixed, then we start working on dividing up how people vote. This one's pretty easy. It's all statewide, but we have city races, school board races, all that. We've got to divide all those up, because when that pulls up on the poll book, that tells you what kind of ballot you get. So, long story, I've got about 30 minutes in my part. You're going to ask me, is that okay? That's not okay. Good, I won't do it. But yeah, we selected ES&S, been a great provider. They use a Microsoft piece of equipment versus an Apple piece of equipment, which means that we have a guarantee of 5 years before that software ever goes away. With Apple, you don't have any guarantee. And they send updates. You know how it goes. If anybody's got an Apple, they send updates once a month. Well, if it's right in the middle of our cycle of downloading equipment, we can't do an update. So it's good equipment. It's worked well with all of our stuff. It's going to be seamless.
It's that same equipment we invested in.
Yeah.
How many years ago? 5 years ago?
Several years ago.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
You remember when they brought that machine to the court meeting? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same company out of Omaha, Nebraska.
I also want to thank Brandon McIntosh out at the State Garage. There was a big, huge hole right up on top of Fort Estill Hill on the bridge. You could not miss it. You couldn't miss it. And I called them. They came out that same day and got that taken care of. Scott, thank you guys in the road department for over in Home Place. I received text and calls from that, saying thank you from those folks that live out there, and they appreciate that. I like you, Judge. You know, we get a lot of help up here from behind the scenes. And Glenna, I want to thank you. Chris, he's hiding back there, but Chris, I want to thank you too. I call these guys at night. I was texting Glenna last night, 9:30. I shouldn't do that, but thank you, Glenna, for responding to me. I certainly appreciate that and appreciate your help.
She's looking at you.
She is. She is.
Why are you doing it then?
She is, because I need to know something, and she's good on making sure that I do know something, and I certainly appreciate that. Tom, will you please relay to Steve that we once again appreciate the prisoners picking up trash. We get a lot of compliments for that and a lot of requests for that. And so thank you all for being expediting that and taking care of it.
Just for the magistrate, starting another crew tomorrow.
Good.
Get more related to me, let me know where it's at.
Awesome.
Anywhere in the first district.
Start at number 1 and then go down.
Just remember, that's first.
Yeah, it's obvious that Brian talked to Brandon before I did, because there might be a few changes to that state schedule now. Sorry about that. I think the 4th might be moving up.
Does that include creek beds?
Anywhere that's not private property, I'll put them in trash.
But I appreciate it. If anyone needs me, they can reach me at 200-9765.
Tom, I thought you were going to say it's obvious Brian had talked to Larry, because it sounded really familiar over there to my right.
Yep.
Some of it rubbed off, not all of it, but some of it.
Yes, not all of it. Counselor, do you have anything? Kenny?
No, sir.
Y'all good? Tony, you good? All right, thank you all very much. Comments from the audience or Mr. Little? I do, because somebody back there will be throwing tomatoes at me if I don't make you come up, because I made her.
That's what they gave us these for, Judge.
Yeah.
Is speaker on? I want to touch on something that Mr. Lockmar said, is education. It's so important, but what people don't understand, everybody don't have to have a college education. We've probably got 2 of these trade schools that we've opened up, one in Brim, one in Richmond. We know they're just getting started. If people, there's so many of these kids out here that needs a trade, and it's, people makes a lot of money doing trade work, and we not got skilled laborers anymore. And everybody don't want to go to college, but education is the most. If you've got a job, if we could take these young people, you need a high school education because everybody looks down on you. I wouldn't have had a high school education had been for a mother. That's all I got. I barely went to the 12th. I got through the 12th. I got me a diploma. She wanted me to get one, but I went to work. But the trade schools is so important in these trades, and you can make a big living and be respectful. And I just wanted to thank you. You mentioned education. People sometimes just forgets how important it is. And these 2 new trade schools we got, these kids should be, that's all I've got to say. Thank you all.
I appreciate that. Both my parents were teachers, so I'm very partial to teachers, and so thank you.
I've just got one thing, because I've been here for 23 years. I've been to a lot of courts and stuff, and I think we have a great court up here. I know our court is newer and older. We have some that's come back and still here. But one of the things I think as a department head that helps us, we all work really, really hard to get all of our stuff on the Dropbox by Friday so that you all can get plenty of time to look over it and stuff. If you all can just give us when you have a question about the claims, we are more than glad to answer any questions you all have, questions about claims, contracts, or whatever. But if you can call us on Monday, or we answer the phone all the time. I'll answer the phone 24/7. But give us a call, a heads up. It will be more advantageous to you all, to us, to the constituents, to get the correct answer that we can research and make sure. Because we want to answer your questions, and we want to look at anything concerns that there is and make sure that we've got all our T's crossed and our I's dotted and everything. But it helps us if we have a heads up and can research that and give you the best answer possible as a department head. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to let you all know that. Thank you all.
I wish I could tell you I won't call you no more in the middle of the night. I will.
Do we have any Facebook? No, we're good. Any other comments, audience? Good? All right, I need a motion to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
Make a motion.
Got a motion, second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Master Buckin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmiller,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Oh, we do have a comment, okay?
And it's from the 4-H group, and it says, don't forget, as you renew your ag tax, make sure there's an optional donation.
Hey, will you come up?
Yeah, that's right. I should have mentioned that.
I deserve that.
Yes, you do.
It is from the 4-H group that is watching, and they say, don't forget, as you renew your ag tags, to make the optional $10 donation that goes back to Madison County 4-H FFA in the Kentucky program.
I did when I renewed mine.
So thank you,
There you
Magistrate
go.
Hughes.
That's good. Hey, we do appreciate it. I'm glad they were our comment, but we appreciate them being over Fiscal Court. And we're getting ready to go spend some time with them. So elected officials, anybody wants to go over and say hi to the 4-Hers, come on. We're getting ready to do that. Our next Fiscal Court meeting will be March 14th. It'll be in Berea. We do appreciate our relationships with the City of Richmond and the City of Berea allowing us to use your all's chambers to have our Fiscal Court meetings. But our next meeting will be March 14th, 2023. It'll be back down in Berea at 9:30 a.m. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all.